Ladies and gentlemen, today we gather not just to speak, but to listen to the whispers of hope, faith, and divine guidance. There are moments in life when God nudges our hearts, when He speaks in the quiet of the morning, calling us to pause, reflect, and pray. This is one of those sacred moments, a time to awaken our spirit, embrace gratitude, and invite miracles into our lives. There is something profoundly sacred in the act of beginning your day with prayer. When the first light of dawn touches the earth, it carries with it a message of hope, a whisper of renewal, and the gentle insistence that we are not alone in our journey. To rise early, to open your eyes to the morning sky, to breathe in the cool air as it fills your lungs with life itself, is to acknowledge a gift that is both ordinary and extraordinary. It is in these quiet moments, before the clamor of the world reaches our ears, that prayer has its purest form. The mind is uncluttered, the heart is open, and the spirit is ready to converse with the divine. Prayer is not merely a routine. It is a recognition of our need for guidance, for strength, for clarity, for the reassurance that our steps are known and our paths are watched. To begin with, prayer is to lay the foundation for every choice, every word, every action that will follow throughout the day. It is to invite a sacred partnership with the unseen, a dance with the eternal that guides us through challenges, through moments of joy, through the ordinary and the extraordinary alike. There is power in this ritual, power that is not loud or boastful, but gentle and transformative. When one begins the day with prayer, it is as if the soul stretches, awakening to the presence of something far greater than itself. The words may be whispered, spoken aloud, or simply held in the quiet corners of the mind, yet their effect resonates deeply. They remind us that we are part of a tapestry woven by hands unseen, threads of purpose, interlacing with moments of chance, hope, and grace. The morning prayer is a declaration that we do not walk this path alone, that every step we take is accompanied by wisdom that transcends our understanding. In the stillness, the mind may wander to worries, to obligations, to the endless to-do lists that await, but prayer acts as a tether, drawing the scattered thoughts back to a center of peace. It is here that we cultivate mindfulness, where we learn to observe the day not as a series of tasks to endure, but as a canvas upon which we may paint intentions, acts of kindness, and seeds of gratitude. Beginning with prayer is a conscious act of prioritization. It is a statement to oneself and to the world that we are aware of the fragility and the beauty of life, that we acknowledge our limitations while opening ourselves to the infinite possibilities that exist beyond our comprehension. In this communion, one may find the courage to forgive, to release burdens carried for far too long, and to step forward with renewed determination. The act of prayer aligns the heart with the rhythm of life itself, a rhythm that is both steady and unpredictable, a flow that demands presence, attention, and reverence. It is through this practice that the mind gains clarity, that the soul finds solace, and that the body moves with a subtle grace informed by purpose and intention. Morning prayer teaches discipline, not the rigidity of obligation, but the gentle insistence that we honor the sacredness of our existence. It is a discipline that shapes character, fortifies resilience, and fosters compassion. When one begins the day with prayer, they are reminded of the interconnectedness of all beings, the threads that bind humanity in shared longing, shared triumphs, and shared struggles. Prayer becomes an acknowledgement that life is not solely our making, that there are forces at work beyond our control, yet within which we may find our own agency. It is an act of humility, an act of courage, and an act of love. In the repetition of this practice, morning after morning, one discovers patterns, insights, and revelations that might otherwise go unnoticed in the rush of a day driven by noise, distraction, and urgency. The mind, once tethered to fear, doubt, and uncertainty, finds anchor in the certainty of divine presence, in the quiet assurance that prayers spoken sincerely are heard, and that intentions set with clarity will ripple outward in ways that are sometimes invisible, yet always impactful. To pray at the beginning of the day is to set a tone of intentionality, a commitment to living with awareness, with integrity, and with openness. It is to declare that the day ahead is not a series of accidents, but a sequence of opportunities to align with the greater good, to act with compassion, and to seek wisdom in all encounters. There is a transformative quality in this, for when the day begins with prayer, the ordinary becomes sacred, challenges are met with grace, and the mind becomes attuned to the whispers of guidance that are ever present but often unnoticed. The practice molds character, shapes perception, and fosters an internal resilience that prepares one to face uncertainty with confidence, to approach conflict with empathy, and to navigate complexity with patience. It instills in the individual a rhythm, a cadence that honors both self and other, a balance between action and reflection. Each morning offers a new canvas, and prayer is the brush that allows one to paint with intention, awareness, and purpose. The small moments of reflection, gratitude, and supplication accumulate, forming a foundation upon which the rest of the day is built. It is here, in these quiet, intentional beginnings, that lives are subtly yet profoundly transformed. Morning prayer fosters a perspective that sees possibility where others see limitation, hope where others see despair, and grace where others may see struggle. It nurtures the spirit, strengthens the resolve, and opens the heart to the beauty and complexity of life's journey. In the act of speaking to the divine, one also speaks to the self, affirming values, intentions, and dreams. It is an exercise in courage, vulnerability, and trust. The repetition of this ritual develops consistency, patience, and endurance, qualities necessary to navigate the unpredictable landscapes of human existence. There is also a communal dimension, for when individuals pray, even in solitude, they are linked to a tradition, a lineage of seekers who have recognized the same truth, that connection to something greater than oneself is a source of endless strength. In the morning, when the world is still, the mind can hear clearly, the heart can feel deeply, and the spirit can open fully. This is the power of beginning with prayer, the alchemy of transforming ordinary moments into sacred encounters, of infusing intention into every breath, of aligning one's life with principles that endure beyond the transient concerns of the day. It is a practice of self-affirmation and humility, of courage and surrender, of discipline and freedom simultaneously. Prayer in the morning acts as a compass, guiding decisions, influencing interactions, and shaping perception. It helps cultivate patience in the face of adversity, generosity in the midst of abundance, and grace in moments of challenge. This daily act is a quiet revolution, an affirmation of faith, and a conscious choice to approach life with reverence, intention, and hope. The morning becomes a sanctuary, a space where one can reconnect with purpose, rediscover gratitude, and invite guidance. With each utterance, with each silent moment of communion, the soul is strengthened, the mind clarified, and the body prepared to engage with the world, not as a passive observer, but as an active participant, fully present, fully conscious, fully alive. In embracing the power of beginning the day with prayer, we discover that the ordinary becomes extraordinary, that challenges are softened by perspective, that victories are celebrated with humility, and that every moment carries potential for meaning, insight, and transformation. It is in this sacred beginning that one learns the profound truth that life, in all its complexity, chaos, and beauty, can be navigated with grace, resilience, and faith simply by starting the day in conversation with the divine, acknowledging our dependence, expressing gratitude, and opening ourselves to the possibilities that await, unseen but ever present. Trusting God's timing and guidance is an act that requires both courage and patience, for it is easy to look at life and see only the immediate, the urgent, the visible, and forget that there is a rhythm far deeper than our comprehension, a cadence that moves with wisdom, precision, and care beyond what our limited vision can perceive. We live in a world that demands speed, instant results, and immediate answers. But divine timing is not bound by clocks, calendars, or the restless ticking of human impatience. To trust it is to surrender to a rhythm that is patient, deliberate, and precise, understanding that what unfolds in its own time is always aligned with purpose. It is in the moments of waiting, the pauses, the stretches of silence, that our character is strengthened, our faith tested, and our understanding of life deepened. When we trust in God's timing, we acknowledge that there are forces at work beyond our control, that even in the delays, the detours, and the disappointments, there is a design, a wisdom, and a love that is attentive to the smallest detail of our lives. Guidance from God is subtle, not always flashy or loud, and it often arrives in forms that are unexpected, gentle, or even disguised as ordinary moments. The signs may be in a conversation, a chance meeting, a feeling of peace, a sudden clarity, or even in the things that do not happen, the doors that remain closed, the opportunities that seem to vanish. Trusting in this guidance requires an openness, a willingness to listen deeply, and a humility that says, I do not have all the answers, but I believe there is a plan, and I will walk with patience and faith. There is a profound liberation in letting go of the compulsion to control every outcome, to manipulate circumstances, and to rush events according to our desires. When we relinquish that control, we make room for a presence far greater than ourselves to shape our paths, to illuminate choices, and to direct our steps with wisdom that surpasses understanding. Life is filled with uncertainty, challenges, and complexities, and yet trusting God's timing invites a calm within the storm, a steadiness that allows us to navigate difficulties with grace, resilience, and clarity. It is in this trust that we find the courage to wait, to hope, and to move forward with confidence, knowing that what is meant for us will not pass us by, and what is not aligned with our growth will not be forced upon us. Guidance from God is not always immediately recognized, for the divine often operates in ways that are slow, quiet, and intricate. It requires discernment, mindfulness, and attentiveness to recognize the paths that are illuminated and to step boldly when the doors open. There is an art to this waiting, a discipline that teaches patience, gratitude, and attentiveness. We learn that timing is not about the speed of events, but the perfection of alignment. The right moment when preparation, opportunity, and readiness converge to produce results that are often far greater than we could have imagined. To trust God's guidance is to trust that even the obstacles, the delays, and the uncertainties have meaning, that they shape us, refine us, and prepare us for the fullness of what is to come. Every disappointment can become a lesson, every delay an opportunity to grow in resilience, every detour a pathway to deeper understanding. Life is rarely linear, and yet when we walk with faith, when we trust in divine timing, we discover that each twist and turn is intentional, a thread woven into the greater tapestry of our existence. Patience becomes our companion, and hope becomes the lens through which we view every circumstance. It is not a passive waiting, but an active engagement, a readiness to act when the moment is right, and a willingness to learn in the meantime. To trust in God's timing is to embrace uncertainty with courage, to hold faith steady even when the world seems chaotic, to believe that there is a season for every purpose and that what is meant to flourish will bloom at the appointed moment. This trust shapes decisions, informs relationships, and guides our approach to challenges, as it aligns our desires with a higher wisdom that knows what we need, when we need it, and in what measure. There is a profound peace in this surrender, a freedom that comes from releasing the illusion of total control and stepping into a rhythm that is both steady and purposeful. Guidance from God teaches discernment as we learn to distinguish between the noise of impatience and the quiet voice of wisdom, between fleeting desires and enduring purpose. It nurtures resilience as we discover that even in moments of delay, our spirit is growing stronger, our heart more compassionate, and our understanding of life more profound. Trust in divine timing invites reflection, for it asks us to consider our intentions, our motives, and our preparedness. It encourages introspection, reminding us that growth is as important as achievement, that character is forged in the crucible of patience, and that readiness is cultivated through careful attention to the present moment. Life's unpredictability becomes less intimidating when we recognize that every event, every encounter, every challenge, and every joy is part of a larger pattern, a design in which our timing intersects with divine orchestration. Trust is reinforced when we look back on past experiences, seeing how delays, redirections, and setbacks ultimately shaped our path in ways that immediate success could not have achieved. We realize that what seemed like a loss was preparation, what seemed like a denial was protection, and what seemed like a pause was provision. To embrace this understanding requires humility, a recognition that human wisdom is limited and that true guidance comes from a source beyond our comprehension. It calls for patience, for wisdom, for faith, and for the courage to move forward even when the path is unclear. Trusting God's timing is a practice, a daily decision to align one's heart and mind with the rhythm of the universe, to acknowledge that there is a season for every endeavor, and to walk confidently knowing that the moment of fruition will arrive in perfect alignment with our growth and readiness. It is in this trust that we find freedom from anxiety, peace in uncertainty, and clarity in confusion. The mind learns to observe rather than react, the heart learns to hope rather than despair, and the spirit learns to rest in the assurance of presence and provision. Every circumstance becomes a lesson, every waiting period a preparation, and every guidance moment a gentle reminder that we are not alone, that our steps are watched, and that our journey is accompanied by wisdom and love that surpass our understanding. There is a quiet joy in surrendering to this timing, a joy that is steady, unwavering, and rooted in the knowledge that life unfolds in harmony with divine orchestration. Patience becomes not a burden but a blessing, and waiting is transformed into an active engagement with faith, hope, and intentional living. To trust in God's guidance is to recognize the sacredness of every moment, the potential in every challenge, and the presence of the divine in all things. It is a conscious choice to move with faith, to act with awareness, and to accept with grace, knowing that every step, every delay, every opportunity is part of a journey designed with infinite wisdom, love, and care, and that those who walk with trust will see the unfolding of life's purpose with eyes of clarity, hearts of gratitude, and spirits fortified for the path ahead. Opening your heart to receive divine wisdom and strength is one of the most profound acts a human being can undertake, for it is in the opening, in the willing surrender of the barriers we place around our spirit, that we begin to understand the depth, the breadth, and the subtlety of life's truths. Our hearts are often heavy with doubts, fears, and the weight of past experiences, yet within them resides an infinite capacity to receive, to grow, and to transform. Divine wisdom is not something that can be grasped through force or through intellect alone. It comes to those who are patient, attentive, and ready. Those whose hearts are unguarded, whose souls are receptive, and whose spirits are willing to be guided by a force far greater than themselves. To open the heart is to acknowledge that we do not possess all answers, that our understanding is limited, and that there is a source of knowledge, discernment, and clarity that moves through the universe, waiting to be received by those who are prepared. Strength, in this sense, is not only physical or mental, but spiritual. A fortitude that is cultivated when the heart is aligned with wisdom and when the soul is attuned to guidance that transcends circumstance. It is in opening the heart that we begin to recognize the lessons hidden in challenges, the blessings disguised as difficulties, and the subtle nudges that lead us toward growth and fulfillment. The act of opening is itself an act of courage, for it requires vulnerability, the willingness to confront fears, to release pride, and to step into a space of uncertainty where outcomes are unknown but possibilities are infinite. Divine wisdom comes in whispers, in quiet moments of reflection, in the gentle nudges of intuition, in the clarity that emerges when we are still enough to hear the voice that speaks not with urgency but with timeless patience. Strength is fortified in these moments, for when we align our hearts with wisdom, we are no longer at the mercy of circumstance alone, but are guided by insight, clarity, and understanding that inform our decisions, shape our actions, and illuminate our paths. To open the heart is to embrace humility, recognizing that guidance is not imposed but offered, that understanding is not commanded but gifted, and that strength is not demanded but nurtured. When we are open, the heart becomes a vessel, a container for the extraordinary, a receptacle for insights that elevate our thinking, our feeling, and our being. In this openness, we cultivate resilience, patience, and discernment. For the heart that receives divine wisdom learns to navigate complexity with grace, to approach challenges with hope, and to respond to life's uncertainties with courage. There is a harmony that emerges when the heart is receptive, a balance that allows strength and wisdom to coexist, to inform one another, and to guide our steps in ways that are both practical and profoundly transformative. The process of opening is continuous, a lifelong practice, for the heart can grow weary, close itself in response to hurt, or become hardened by disappointment. Yet each day presents a new opportunity to soften, to expand, and to reconnect with the source of guidance that flows unceasingly. Divine wisdom teaches us to see beyond the superficial, to perceive patterns, to understand motives, and to recognize the interconnectedness of all things. Strength gained through this wisdom is not brittle but enduring, able to withstand the pressures of life, the challenges of adversity, and the temptations of despair. When we open our hearts, we begin to listen more than we speak, to observe more than we react, and to trust more than we doubt. This listening is an active engagement, a dialogue between the self and the divine, where questions are welcomed, reflections are nurtured, and clarity emerges from the depth of attentive awareness. The heart that is open receives guidance in subtle forms, a sudden insight, a feeling of peace, a sense of direction, or even a quiet reassurance amidst turmoil. Each instance is a thread woven into the fabric of understanding, a piece of strength added to the reservoir of courage, and a spark that ignites growth. To receive divine wisdom is to embrace transformation, for the insights we gain inevitably shift perspectives, challenge assumptions, and inspire new ways of being. Strength accompanies this process, for as the heart opens and receives, the individual grows in confidence, resilience, and the capacity to act with intention and compassion. There is a profound joy in this openness, a lightness that comes from releasing the burdens of fear, resentment, and doubt, and a freedom that arises when one aligns with a source of power and clarity that transcends personal limitations. The practice of opening the heart is an invitation to live consciously, to act mindfully, and to engage fully with the richness of life. It teaches patience, as wisdom is often gradual, revealed in layers rather than in a single moment, and it nurtures endurance, as strength is cultivated through repeated practice, reflection, and reliance on guidance beyond oneself. In opening the heart, we also cultivate empathy, for divine wisdom often reveals the interconnectedness of all beings, the shared struggles, joys, and hopes that bind humanity together. Strength is deepened by understanding, by recognizing that our actions, thoughts, and intentions ripple outward, affecting not only our lives but the lives of those around us. Openness invites humility, for the heart recognizes that wisdom is not a possession to be hoarded, but a gift to be received, shared, and enacted with integrity and love. It calls for courage, for to receive strength and insight is to accept responsibility for how we use them, how we act upon them, and how we embody the principles that are revealed. There is a rhythm to this process, a cadence of receiving, reflecting, and applying, where each day brings new opportunities to deepen understanding, fortify resilience, and expand the capacity for love and compassion. The heart, once opened, becomes a source of light, illuminating choices, guiding actions, and inspiring others through example and presence. Divine wisdom encourages clarity of purpose, discernment in decision-making, and intentionality in living. Strength derived from this wisdom allows the individual to face adversity with poise, to approach uncertainty with confidence, and to act with conviction, grounded in understanding rather than reaction. In the quiet moments of reflection, when the world slows and the mind is attentive, the heart receives not only knowledge, but also the courage to embody it, to move forward with integrity, and to engage with life fully and meaningfully. Openness cultivates patience, for wisdom is rarely immediate, and strength is often forged through trials, yet the process itself is transformative, shaping character, deepening insight, and fortifying the spirit. To open the heart is to embrace vulnerability and courage simultaneously, to trust that what is offered will nourish, guide, and empower, and to recognize that this process is ongoing, evolving, and limitless. Each moment of receptivity builds upon the last, layering insight upon understanding, courage upon fortitude, and compassion upon wisdom. The heart becomes a conduit, a channel through which divine guidance flows, and strength becomes the manifestation of alignment with purpose, clarity, and truth. There is a profound intimacy in this relationship, a dialogue between the self and the unseen, where questions, doubts, hopes, and intentions are met with answers, reassurances, and empowerment that emerge in perfect timing. The act of opening fosters gratitude, for in receiving wisdom and strength, the individual recognizes blessings, opportunities, and moments of growth that might otherwise have gone unnoticed. It nurtures humility, for the acknowledgement that we are not alone in our journey brings perspective, patience, and empathy. Strength cultivated through openness allows us to act decisively yet gently, with conviction yet compassion, and with courage yet awareness. Divine wisdom, received in an open heart, illuminates the path ahead, clarifies intentions, and empowers action in ways that are both practical and profound, tangible and transcendent, guiding not only personal growth, but also the capacity to positively influence the lives of others. There is a beauty in this process, a harmony between receiving and applying, between introspection and action, between surrender and empowerment, a balance that shapes the individual into someone capable of navigating life's complexities with grace, purpose, and unwavering faith in the guidance that is always present, waiting to be received by the open heart, ready to infuse strength into every decision, every challenge, and every opportunity, nurturing a life that is aligned, intentional, and profoundly alive. Transforming your life through consistent faith and reflection is a journey that begins in the quiet chambers of the heart, where thought, intention, and belief converge to shape the very essence of our being. Faith is not a fleeting feeling or a simple hope. It is a steady, unwavering current that flows beneath the surface of our consciousness, guiding decisions, informing actions, and providing strength in moments of uncertainty. Reflection is the companion of faith, the mirror that allows us to see ourselves clearly, to acknowledge our strengths and weaknesses, and to discern the patterns that govern our lives. Together, faith and reflection become a powerful force, a daily practice that molds character, cultivates resilience, and illuminates the path toward fulfillment. To embrace this transformation is to commit oneself to a rhythm of attention and intention, to dedicate moments each day to pause, to look inward, and to reconnect with the source of guidance and strength that transcends our understanding. Life, with all its unpredictability, demands not only action but discernment, and it is through reflection that we gain the clarity necessary to act with purpose rather than simply react to circumstance. Faith, sustained and nurtured, is the light that guides us through shadows, the anchor that holds us steady amidst turbulence, and the force that instills hope when despair seems to surround us. Consistency in faith is not measured by grand gestures or spectacular displays, but by the small, persistent acts of trust, gratitude, and devotion that accumulate over time, building a foundation so solid that it can weather the storms of life. Reflection allows us to evaluate the journey, to recognize progress, and to understand lessons embedded in trials, disappointments, and victories alike. It is in the interplay of faith and reflection that transformation occurs, for when the heart and mind are aligned with intention and awareness, every thought, word, and action is infused with purpose, and every moment becomes an opportunity for growth. Transformation through faith is not instant. It is gradual, subtle, and profound, unfolding in ways that are sometimes invisible, until the accumulation of small changes reveals a life reshaped, a character strengthened, and a spirit renewed. Through reflection, we come to understand that challenges are not punishments, but invitations to deepen trust, to practice patience, and to cultivate discernment. Every setback becomes a lesson, every struggle a chance to grow, and every uncertainty a space in which faith can be exercised, refined, and strengthened. Consistent reflection provides insight, allowing us to see where our choices have aligned with purpose and where adjustments are needed. Faith reinforces this process, encouraging perseverance, inspiring courage, and providing the inner fortitude to act in alignment with wisdom and truth. As we engage in this continuous cycle of faith and reflection, we discover that transformation is holistic, encompassing mind, body, and spirit. Our perceptions change, our priorities shift, and our approach to relationships, work, and life itself becomes more intentional, more compassionate, and more aligned with enduring principles of goodness, integrity, and love. There is a profound joy in this transformation, a lightness of being that comes from living authentically, acting with purpose, and trusting that the path we walk is guided by wisdom beyond our comprehension. Faith nurtures patience, for it teaches us that life unfolds according to a rhythm that is often beyond immediate understanding, and reflection provides perspective, helping us to see the broader patterns, the lessons, and the blessings hidden within the everyday. Transformation through these practices is not confined to the self alone. It radiates outward, influencing relationships, communities, and even the wider world. A life grounded in consistent faith and reflection becomes a source of inspiration, a testament to the power of intentional living, and a beacon of hope for others who witness its effects. The discipline required is not a burden, but a cultivation of awareness and presence, a commitment to noticing the ways in which our thoughts, words, and actions either align with or diverge from our higher purpose. Through reflection, we learn humility, recognizing our limitations, our mistakes, and the areas in which growth is necessary. Faith provides the courage to continue, the belief that even in moments of uncertainty, guidance is available, and that every step, however small, contributes to the unfolding of a life that is meaningful and purposeful. In this practice, we begin to perceive life not as a series of disconnected events, but as an interconnected web, where every decision, interaction, and intention contributes to the overall tapestry of existence. Transformation becomes not only an internal process, but also an external expression, a living testimony of the power of faith and reflection to shape behavior, choices, and impact. There is an elegance in this process, a subtle power that emerges not from force or coercion, but from the alignment of thought, feeling, and action with enduring truths. Faith strengthens the heart, providing resilience in adversity, hope in despair, and courage in the face of fear, while reflection refines the mind, fostering clarity, discernment, and awareness of patterns, motivations, and outcomes. Through consistent engagement with these practices, the individual cultivates a life of balance, where emotion and reason, action and contemplation, and ambition and compassion coexist in harmony. This harmony enables a person to navigate complexity with grace, to face uncertainty with confidence, and to respond to challenges with insight and calm. Reflection allows us to observe our tendencies, to recognize habits that serve or hinder growth, and to adjust our approach in alignment with wisdom and purpose. Faith reinforces the process by providing motivation, perseverance, and the assurance that our efforts are meaningful, that our journey is guided, and that the outcomes we seek are attainable when approached with integrity and trust. Transformation through faith and reflection is a dynamic, ongoing process, never complete, yet always progressing, revealing new layers of understanding, deeper insights, and greater capacities for love, resilience, and purpose. The interplay of faith and reflection nurtures character, shaping the moral and ethical framework through which we perceive the world and act within it. Every act of reflection is an opportunity to refine intentions. Every act of faith an enigma's exercise in courage, and together they create a synergy that elevates the individual toward a higher expression of self. The consistency of this practice is critical, for transformation does not occur in sporadic moments of inspiration, but in sustained engagement, repeated mindfulness, and intentional action over time. Life, with all its unpredictability, becomes navigable when one approaches it with a foundation of consistent faith and diligent reflection. Challenges are met with insight, opportunities are seized with discernment, and setbacks are understood as lessons rather than failures. In this way, transformation is both inward and outward, affecting not only personal growth, but also relationships, work, and the broader community. Faith infuses hope, reflection cultivates understanding, and together they produce resilience, clarity, and a sense of purpose that guides every aspect of life. The individual who engages in this practice learns to see beyond immediate circumstances, to recognize the potential in every moment, and to act with awareness and intentionality. Transformation through faith and reflection is a journey that encompasses the full spectrum of human experience, from the deepest challenges to the highest triumphs. And it is within this journey that we come to recognize the extraordinary power that lies in the deliberate alignment of heart, mind, and spirit. A power that transforms not only our inner landscape, but also the way we interact with the world, infusing every thought, word, and action with purpose, meaning, and enduring value, creating a life that is fully awake, fully present, and fully alive, responsive to the guidance, insight, and strength that faith and reflection continuously provide, allowing the individual to navigate existence with grace, courage, and unwavering commitment to the principles that illuminate the path toward a life of transformation, purpose, and fulfillment.